Hey there viewers, and welcome back to a tool review from Grumpy Monkey Garage, where today I'm going to be talking about all the different power tools I've had experience with. Now the purpose of this video isn't necessarily to draw a direct comparison, but just to share my thoughts and experiences so you can make a better purchasing decision. So if you're looking for a direct comparison, for example, from Milwaukee's Impact to Cobalt's Impact, I don't own a Milwaukee Impact, but I did own several other electric Impacts before I found the Cobalt, which is what I like and I've been staying with. Same reason I've really enjoyed Milwaukee's battery life on their electric ratchets and drills. So I'm going to go over lots of different variations, what I've had that's been of that same style of tool, and what I've come to realize was good. Now this isn't necessarily on a best performance base, this is on a value base. So if something's really cheap and does the job and doesn't seem to have any fail points, that's going to be the winner. I mean, sure, Snap-on might be a little bougier, but who has Snap-on money? I'm all about saving a dollar if I can, and some of this stuff doesn't need to be Snap-on or Red Army Milwaukee and things like that, so I don't have them in that. Now, one of the things you should consider that before anyone goes nuts on any particular tool is, well, I don't want to have 9 different chargers in my toolbox. Well, that's true, because the Milwaukee stuff, you can charge just M12 and M18s with just 2 chargers and you'd be able to charge their whole set. Ryobi is one charger for everything, from what I've seen. Even all the way back to the old nickel batteries still charge on the 1+ battery styles, but unfortunately, some of theirs, like this one, won't even hold a charge anymore. It doesn't work, and it's only a couple years old. So their battery quality, you know, it's there, this one works, but it's not as good as Milwaukee battery quality, but these are significantly more expensive. So that's what we're going to be testing for, is value. Does it work? Is it easy to replace? And does it give me a good return on my investment for that tool? I think we're going to start with some complaining because I don't have much of that to do. Makita is not in the automotive business. It shows. Everything they have is really for, I guess, drywall guys, maybe plumbers. But if you're in the automotive business, these are not for you. They're terrible, they don't last, they're certainly not oil proof or resistant in any way, shape, or form. If you use any of their stuff in the rain, it fails. There you go, Makita's out right there. So they've been in a box collecting dust. I've had several of them. They don't work that good for this industry. So don't buy that one. That was pretty straightforward. Next up, the Red Army. Absolutely everyone on the internet has a big raging boner for Milwaukee stuff. They think it's the new Snap-on. It's even the same color. I could see why they draw that conclusion. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It is very good, but it is not the end-all be-all. And it's because of their price point. The same reason you don't see Snap-on on this tailgate right now. Milwaukee's price point is so high and they're so sought after that it's a lot of stuff's not worth buying. I'll give you an example. The Milwaukee Sawzall is about 4 times as much as I found this Ryobi Sawzall for. And this Ryobi Sawzall works just fine. Now, why does a mechanic need a Sawzall? Well, a lot of the times we have to fix homemade exhaust repairs. Some counties in Georgia require emissions inspections, and out here in the sticks in the country, guys will just cut the cat converters off to go get some Christmas money and put a fence post in there. And then, well, now there's no cat. And when they sell it to somebody in any of the Atlanta counties, now they need one. So I've got to remove the stupid fence post and then put the cat converter back in there. So that's what this gets used for, mainly cutting exhaust. And we've had pretty good success with it. I will say that I'm not as good as all the catalytic converter thieves you'll see online who are able to cut something off in 20 seconds. That Ryobi, it takes about 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes to actually get through one side. And that may be just because I use the cheapest blades on earth, but I don't get that much exhaust work, so I don't prioritize it. And that Ryobi Sawzall does just fine. The other thing I use it for is cutting down pallets, just fine for that. Maybe if you do a lot of demolition, it could justify the Milwaukee Sawzall. I hear that it's the end-all be-all. 20 bucks at a pawn shop. It's what works. That's another benefit to having lots of different batteries and chargers, is when I'm looking for used tools, because I'm even on a more serious budget, I go to the pawn shops or Facebook Marketplace. I'm not limited to where I only have Milwaukee tools. I have to search for that. I could search for any of the main power tools and get something that will work with one of my capabilities. It does take up more space. Let's talk about lights, because I have a direct comparison for lights. I already complained about the batteries on the Ryobis. They don't last that long. You know, they'll last, if you have two, they'll go through a whole day. So if you have two fully charged of the 18-volt lithiums, they will go a whole day using it as a light. The old nickel batteries are dying out. I still have a few that still work. I've had Ryobi a long time. They're okay. There's a reason they don't sell them anymore. The lithiums are better. They were definitely an improvement. I will say those were hardier if you had them in storage. If you didn't use them every day, they were just sitting on the shelf. The old nickel ones would hold their charge forever on the shelf. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, lights. Milwaukee makes a lot of different lights. I've got this little lantern thing here. It's a floodlight. It's pretty awesome. You've got, you know, on full brightness, kind of a smidge, you know, less bright, and then the extreme brightness. So I've had a pretty good run with this thing. It's very durable. You know, you can drop it. It's not gonna break. It's been dropped in the dirt, it's been dropped in the mud just to prove it still works. There you go. Because the battery is kind of behind it in the shielded area, it's very rugged. So I really like that one for doing night service calls. Somebody's got a flat tire on the side of the road, I just need to see to get the lug nuts off. This thing is great because if I kick it or roll it on accident, it's gonna survive it. That is a negative point for the Ryobi lights, that they're not that durable for that purpose. So I chose to go with this one. Milwaukee does make a stick light, like an M12 stick light. I really want to get one of those. It would be a similar match to this. It doesn't look like it's as crush resistant, but I looked at those stick lights. They're like $150. These old style Ryobi tools, you know, you can get an LED adapter kit for them. These have an LED in them now, and they're really bright and they work really good in one direction. And these are like $5 at every garage sale and pawn shop. $150. Guess what I went with? I bought two. That'll show you how dedicated I am to it. I don't see the need for that. Now, I don't know if Ryobi makes a big old lantern like this, but if they did, I'm sure I'd be loving to put that to the test, but I found this one really cheap used as well. Ratchets. Milwaukee, hands down, they've got the corner on these ratchets. Now, I got very lucky. I didn't have to pay for this ratchet. So we were at the pull apart getting parts for our cameraman's RAV4, which you could see a video of that fantastic repair that we did on that when you look at our review for it. We were at the junkyard and my cameraman goes, "Is this yours?" And I was like, "No." And then, well, it is now because somebody left this in a car when the car got scrapped. So I got a very nice ratchet with a battery for very, very cheap. I was very happy about that. That was a good find by our camera crew. But obviously I didn't have a charger for that yet, so I went and bought a charger with a battery and then kind of just expanded my collection at all the pawn shops. I've had really good luck out of their drills. You know, in automotive, you see a lot of wire wheels on drills for cleaning up gasket surfaces or for, you know, cleaning a battery terminal real fast. That way you don't have to sit there with a hand brush. Time is money in automotive. You don't want to be sitting there spending a ton of time. So I've really had good luck out of the drills. But again, I bought them used. I bought them very cheap and they've held up really well. Now this compared to the Ryobi drill, this is where they're going to be very similar. I'm going to call this a tie. The Ryobi drill seems to have a little bit more oomph to it when you're trying to drill through something. So if you're drilling out a broken bolt or something, the Ryobi drill is definitely the way to go. The Milwaukee drill seems to have better battery life. So it's, you know, whichever one you're looking for, that's the answer I found, is better battery life, more power. So if you're looking for power, you're drilling through stuff a lot, particularly metal, Ryobi all the way. If you're looking for power, or not power, if you're looking for battery life, you're going with the Milwaukee. And both of them are perfectly good tools. I've never had one fail. I have about 3 of the Ryobi drills because every time I'd find one at a pawn shop, it was like the light drill combo and they'd be, you know, $15. So heck yeah, I'm taking that. Also with Ryobi, stuff that doesn't require your life to depend on it, like this fan right here. I work outside, I live in the state of Georgia. I'm pretty sure Hades Armpit is a colder place than this in the summer. So I got this nice battery-powered Ryobi fan. And with this fan, I'm able to get about 2.5, maybe 3 hours of use on a charge on full speed. And you know, that can make all the difference if you're out there doing a, you know, hot job, you know, doing a radiator or something, and you're really sweating in the summer. There's not a lot of shade for some reason. That fan could make and break all the difference. Now with Ryobi tools, I do some homeowner stuff as well that's not necessarily automotive related, but I found the circle saw really cheap. Again, it was a set, it was used, and you know, I've been able to make some furniture with this and I haven't had any complaints. I am not a carpenter. I don't use this stuff full time, so somebody else will have to tell you about how it holds up in the long run. But it was very cheap and it does the job, and that's what I'm looking for. Can it do what I ask it to do, and is it reliable? So far, so good. I've had that thing 3 years. I don't use it every day, but if you're a homeowner, there you go. Love the fan. Milwaukee does make a fan. I think their price point is now comparable. The newer Ryobi fan is like a booger green. It's not that old black and yellow color. It's like this neon green. We'll show you a picture of it. It's like a circle fan and it pivots and it's a little smaller and easier to carry. But now it's similar to Milwaukee fan. I really don't care. It just needs to push air. It's not like my life depends on this thing. So I'm gonna find whatever's cheaper, and 10 bucks at a pawn shop, it's the way to go for me. Talking about impacts. So on this far end over here, you see 2 Cobalt impacts. I did a top 5 of my favorite tool review on our channel the other day, and the Impact was one of them. Now since then I've expanded. We've added an employee. We've had to get a second service truck kitted out, and I went ahead and bought another Impact. I do not regret purchasing this Impact. The newer one is a lot fancier. We'll show you some close-ups of some of the features here in a minute. It's got a lot more power. It doesn't make a lot of noise, which I really like, because I don't like the the loudness of a lot of the other Impacts out there. I just like to be able to hear what's going on, especially doing roadside. I want to hear if something's coming at me. I bought the first gen a decade ago. This massive brushless, I mean, this thing has been around the block. You can get some close-up footage of this. It's had its absolute butt kicked, and it's still, every time I need this to work, it functions. So keeping with that reliability track record, when I was purchasing another Impact, it was no question. 10 years of service, it's never lost any power. It's never lost its ability to charge. That's still the original battery, and it's still charging. And it'll hold for 2 days of Impact use. We might pull off 8 tires a day, being realistic, and that's all I really used this for, was for pulling off tires, maybe an axle nut, and it has the power to do an axle nut. It will do that hands down. I'm more impressed with this. Now, I haven't had this as long. I've maybe had this about 6 months of heavy use now. You can see it's been beat up already pretty good, and I don't try to abuse my tools. It's just what happens. But if you get a side-by-side size comparison here, now this is on a smaller battery, which does help, but they can all take the same extended run batteries. But with the small battery and the smaller head size of the Impact, you can actually get this behind rotors to take off brake caliper bolts. You can fit this in the wheel well and pull off strut bolts. You can do all sorts of work with the small one that you previously couldn't fit the big one for. So with that, the smaller one is definitely what I'd advise buying, which really it's a no-brainer now. They don't even make this big one anymore, at least not at any of the local Lowe's around here. I was literally going to buy the same tool when I was advised by a very nice associate that they don't make it anymore, and they only make this one. It's got different settings on it. I'll show you some of those features as well. It's got different torque settings, and then you've also gotten a hand tight and then an auto slow so you don't strip things out. Really, really valuable tool. Price prohibitive. If you're looking for something cheap, I don't recommend getting something cheap if you're gonna use it every day. I use these Impacts all day, every day. Like I said, 8 tires a day are coming off of a car, whether it's just doing a front brake job on one guy, a tire rotation on another, and then a rear brake job on the last car of the day, or struts. Whatever it is, the average is 8 tires a day are being pulled off by each one of these. When looking at that, I didn't want the cheapest one. I previously had a Craftsman C3, which I'll show you a picture of here. Great Impact, had lots of power, had lights on the head so you could see what you were aiming at, until it blew up in my face. Like, it literally, I was trying to ugga-dugga an axle nut off and the tool exploded. That's why you should wear safety glasses, by the way, so you don't get blinded, because I can still see, thankfully. But it blew up in my face, so I don't use any Craftsman electric tools. You don't see them here. I'm really happy with Craftsman sockets and ratchets and wrenches. I have not had a good experience with their electric tools. That one blowing up in my face was really turning me off. On top of that, I had one of their lights. It held up about, you could see me complaining about actually their C3 light series in our light review. It was a piece of crap. It lasted like 7 months or so, and it was already junk, and it just, Craftsman should stick to hand tools. They can't make power tools at all. I've never had good luck with them in a shop environment. The plumbers and carpenters, tell me your opinions on it in the comments, but for automotive, they really don't have it figured out. So just to rebuttal here, or review, Milwaukee, great product, usually price prohibitive, shop around, find it cheaper. Ryobi, cheap entry price to buy new. If you're looking to buy new, battery life suffers, make sure you have plenty of spare batteries. Cobalt, I've only used the Impacts, fantastic tool, highly recommended if you're looking to buy an Impact. The batteries last a really long time and the tools are incredibly durable. Same thing with their sockets. If you get the Cobalt Impact sockets, I've never broken one. They're very, very strong. So hopefully you gained some perspective on this and some of my experiences with them. Had good luck at all three. You know, it just depends on what you're looking for. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. Any of the Makita guys out there, I know I crapped on you at the beginning. You know, share your experiences. What trade are you in? Have you had good luck out of these? You know, what are you there for? Tell us about it in the comments. We'll see you next time on Grumpy Monkey Garage.